In LEGO Star Wars, we have so many different sub-themes of sets. We have the helmet series of sets. We have the UCS sets. We have the microfighters. Now there's a new midi-scale ship series of sets. And of course, we have the battle packs. Battle packs are one of the beloved sub-themes in the world of LEGO Star Wars that are lower price sets, typically $15, $20 sets, and they're packed with minifigures. So you can build entire armies of clone troopers or stormtroopers or Sith troopers. And Star Wars fans just love these battle packs. They've been going for a long time. The first battle pack was released back in around 2008. And so for the last 16 years or so, we've been enjoying these battle packs. And over the last couple of years, LEGO Group have continued to release really good quality sets in the battle pack sub-theme. But what about investing? What about the values of the battle packs over time? Do the values go up after the manufacturing stops on a battle pack? Or is it kind of a poor investment because there's likely to be more battle packs released next year, the year after that, that might stop people from going back to find the old ones? So in this video, we're going to talk about that. We're going to look at the last couple of years of Star Wars battle pack LEGO sets. What are the values of those sets today if you were to sell them right now online? And if you had bought them back when they were still available in retail stores, what would the return on investment be like if you bought them at the low price and then sold them today at the high price? So we're going to talk about the last couple of years. We're going to go back to around 2019 and talk about each of the different battle packs and the current prices. If we look at brickset.com and just look at the earliest ones we're seeing here, we see 2007 was the first Star Wars battle pack with the droids battle pack from the prequel series right here. And that same year, we also had a clone trooper battle pack for the very first time. We've had multiple of these, of course, since then. And as we scroll down here, you're going to see tons and tons of these battle packs getting released every single year since then. This became a core strategy for the LEGO Group, of course, with so many sales happening, because Star Wars fans wanted to build armies and they wanted to get all of these minifigures to be part of their collection. When you start building your Stormtrooper army, you're also probably going to want to build a Clone Trooper army or a Rebel army or a Sith Trooper army. And the collectability factor on these battle packs is really quite strong. And every single year we can see that they're releasing multiple different battle packs here. In 2015, I can see 4 different battle packs getting released. 2016, we have 3, 4 again. So we can see many different battle packs every single year. It became a core strategy as part of the LEGO Star Wars lineup and has been going for a very long time. This is something that is tried and tested over a long period of time. It's not like the helmet series that I talked about recently, where it only ran for a couple of years and a lot of people are kind of a little bit disappointed that it seems LEGO Group are not releasing new helmets this year. Battle packs are still going strong, but they have slowed down a little bit in recent years. We don't see 4 battle packs getting released in a single year as much anymore. But we do still see a consistent release of battle packs, and with release, of course, means retirement. Battle packs retiring and then becoming scarce over time and then going up in value in the aftermarket. So that's what we're going to focus our time on today and talk about some of these battle packs. I'm going to go back to 2019 right here, and we're going to start looking at some of these 2019 onward battle packs and what are the values over time. The first one we're going to look at is the Inferno Squad Battle Pack 75226, released in January 2019, retired that same year, only available on the shelves for a year. And we have the Inferno Squad here, of course, with 4 different minifigures. If we look at the price on Amazon on this one, it is currently selling at the buy box for $80, and it is actually selling at that price. I can see that we have sales with this second chart here and the green lines, but $80 purchase price. Now, if we look at Brickset right here again, we can see that the original price on this set was $15. So it's an MSRP of $15 back in 2019 when it was still available. And here on Amazon with the price chart, we can see that it has gone up to $80 at the buy box. We can see some weird behavior here with this listing. There's a possibility this listing was suppressed or it wasn't showing up in search results because there has been a period of time where there were no sales on it. But more recently, we do see that the price was down in 2022 at around $57, and it has been rising a little bit. And then toward the end of 2023, it was selling for $84. More recently has dropped back a little bit to $80. Will likely climb back up to that 84, 85 range again at some point soon. So purchase for $15 or lower if you got a discount, of course, and sell for $80 not bad. It's not selling like crazy here on Amazon. Again, I think there may be some listing problems, but you would be able to sell your copies for $80 here. That is a long hold time though. We don't really like to hold for 5 years, but if you wanted to, that is the kind of return on investment that you were looking at. So the next one we're going to look at here is the Elite Praetorian Guard Battle Pack, 75225. 4 minifigures in here. Brickset says 3, but I think it might be counting this little buildable droid or something because I see 4. January 2019 and retired at the same time, 2019 December. So this was another $15 purchase price. On Amazon today, it's selling for $53, although this listing does not seem to be very active. In fact, this looks to be a new listing without any history, so I cannot trust that this chart here is really what it's selling for on Amazon, $53. So instead, we can quickly go to eBay and search for the set number on eBay and then filter the search results for sold items. We can see recent sales of this set. And if we filter for new condition items as well, so new and sold listings, we can see that it has actually been selling closer to 30 or 35 on eBay. So that seems to be around the market price. I do see some selling for 38, 39, 40. So I would say definitely 35 will be a comfortable market price for this. Again, it was a $15 Lego set, now selling for 35. After you pay your fees, you're almost doubling your money, but it was 2019, so it's been quite some time sitting on these for money doubling. We prefer to do that in a year if possible, not 5 years. So this one I would call a little bit of an underperformer. However, you're still making money, you're still doing reasonably well. It's just a long hold time. Next up, the other 2019 set here is the Imperial Drop Ship, but this is a 20th anniversary edition, this kind of special edition battle pack. This was a little bit of a higher price in 2019. It was a $20 Lego set, released in April 2019, retired in December of 2019. This one had 5 minifigures in it, and it did have kind of a bigger, kind of a buildable ship here, so it was a little bit of a larger set, hence the $20 purchase price instead of the regular $15 that we saw on most sets up until that point. That does change later, as we'll see. So what is this one selling for today on Amazon? We see the buy box right now is at $84.34, and there are a lot of sales happening on this listing. This listing is moving quite fast at those prices. So a $20 purchase price selling at $84 today, and of course you probably got a discount on it, so you might have got it for $15 or $16 when it was still available. $84 per selling price today, reasonably well. It has dropped recently. I see it was up at 93 back here in 2023, and then it has dropped a little bit, but I expect that it will bounce back up there into the 90s at some point soon. So fantastic investment on Imperial Drop Ship. Once again, we're talking about a long hold time on some of these sets, so let's move into 2020. Now, these are sets that I personally invested in. I started investing in battle packs in 2020 with the Sith Trooper. This was my very first investment in battle packs. This was released in January of 2020, and it stuck around for a year and a half, retired in July of 2021. Back when we had Star Wars sets retiring in July, that was fantastic. So we have 4 minifigures in this one depicting the Sith Troopers, of course. It was a $15 battle pack, 105 pieces. And the $15 battle pack purchase price started to come to an end not long after this. But when we look at the Amazon chart here, we can see that right before retirement, you could have bought it for $12, which is 20% off, of course. Amazon frequently had this discounted for 20% off. So right before retirement, in fact, just after it retired, it was still available for $12 here. And you would see this really fast rise in the price. So you bought it for 12, and within a couple of weeks it was selling for 20 at the buy box. It then got up to 25 before the end of the first year, or the first 6 months of retirement really. And then over the course of the next year, it peaked at about $28 here at the buy box in 2022. So that was about a year and a half after the retirement. Now, if you paid full MSRP for this set, you're not really doing much at that point. After you pay your fees, you're making a couple of dollars. But if you bought it for 12, then at this point you're probably at more like a 60 to 70% return on investment, which is not bad after a year and a half. We can do a little bit better than that, and Sith Trooper Battle Pack, I had higher hopes for it. I did think it was going to be more in the $30 range, maybe 32, 33 by the end of the first year of retirement, and that really didn't happen. on Sith Trooper. It took a little bit longer, and in fact, even the following year after that, it was a little more flat than I expected it to be. And into 2023, in Q4, we finally see the price getting up to around $35 right here. But it took some time to get there. And then recently it has been fluctuating quite a lot. It has reached as high as $38, but it also has been dropping down to $30. And so it's been fluctuating. Right now it's at 32, but I expect to see that going back up to the $35, $36 mark pretty soon. So Sith Trooper, it's been reasonable. If you bought it for $12 a couple of years ago, you're selling it for $35 today, you're doing phenomenally well as an investment at that point. It's 2.5 years, it's almost 3 years of hold time at this point. So that is where my problem is. I would love to have gotten that kind of return after the first year, the first year and a half. However, again, it's a hold time problem, not a return on investment problem with these battle packs. We're seeing the performance is there on some of these battle packs, but in some cases it takes time and there are long periods of flat pricing. The reason for that is supply. There's a lot of supply on these battle packs. They're cheap sets, Star Wars sets. A lot of Lego investors are buying them. There is just a ton of supply out there. And so for that reason, we can see the price being flat for large periods of time and then sudden bumps in the price whenever supply dwindles. And that's what's happening here. However, again, the return on investment is there on what we've seen so far here. The next one we're going to look at is Mandalorian Battle Pack 75267. January 2020, released the same time as the Sith Trooper and retired the same month as the Sith Trooper in December 2021. This was another $15 battle pack with 4 minifigures, different colors, different kind of designs of Mandalorians, which was perfect timing with the Mandalorian TV show around when this came out. There was a lot of excitement around this battle pack. It was heavily tipped as one of the big Lego investments of the year. As we're going to see, it has massively underperformed a lot of people's expectations. However, you've done okay if you've invested in this set, because the current price on Amazon is $30. You likely did not pay full $15 MSRP for this. This was another example of a set that was readily available at a discounted price. If we look at the Amazon price here before it retired, we can see it was $12 a lot of the time, but right before retirement it dropped to $11 and then it dropped to $10.50 right here. So there was periods of time where you could have bought this for $10.50 or $11, and if you're selling it for $30 today, you know, you're doing great. You're more than doubling your money, of course. But again, we have a hold time problem here. We're holding it for 2.5 years to sell for 30. It's another case where we have a lot of supply that is slowing down the price growth on this one. But over the course of the first year of retirement, after 6 months, we can see it was selling for $25 at the buy box. If you bought it for 12 and you're selling it for 25, you're already doing okay. You're already profitable. After you pay your fees, you're probably making somewhere around a 50% return on investment at that point. 50% return in 6 months. We knock that. We talk about it like it's not quite what we want in Lego investing. But if you're a stock market investor, if you can get 50% after 6 months, you know, you're going to be the best in the world. And again, I talk about this quite a lot, but Warren Buffett, the #1 stock investor of all time, gets an average of 20% a year. Here we're talking about a 50% return in 6 months. So it's still not bad, but we can do better in Lego investing. And that's why, you know, we kind of want more here. But at that point, I'm feeling okay after 6 months. The problem is, that's where it slows down. In the second half of that same year, 2022, first year of retirement, the price slows down and then it starts to drop. And by Q4, it's down to $22.50 or $22.25. That's because of the supply. We can see a massive surge in the supply happening during Q4 and the price starts to drop. So we see $22 here, and then you're kind of losing some of that 50% return at that point. If you sold it right here in summer, after 6 months of hold time, if you bought it right before retirement, you're doing well. But if you held it for the rest of that year, at that point, your returns are severely diminishing and your hold time is increasing. But Q4 had a lot of demand, a lot of the suppliers sold out, and then we see this really nice rise again in the price, back up to almost $30. It hit 29 right here, the very first couple of months into 2023. So at that point, it's only been retired for just over a year, and now we're at $29. So at that point, I'm feeling okay as this set as an investment. But again, that's where it kind of stops, and it has been flat, almost flat since then, right? The last year and a half, year and 4 months, This price hasn't gone much further than that. It was at 29, and it's been fluctuating quite a lot since then. But even today, it's at 30, so it hasn't moved much further. But you've been continuing to sit on the sets if you're still holding them, so you're kind of losing a lot of the ability to turn over your money in other investments by continuing to hold the Mandalorian Battle Pack, because it just has not moved any further. Do I expect that it will move at some point? Absolutely, but the supply is still strong on it. And there's over 100 people still listing this on Amazon to over 2.5 years of into retirement, which is quite substantial. There's a lot of supply. There's a lot of people holding a lot of these out there. So that is why the price has gone flat on this one. And I've already sold all of mine. I did have some investments in this, but I did buy them at good prices. I did not pay full MSRP, but I've sold them all at this point. And, it was a reasonable investment, but it just did not perform to what I expected it to be. I did expect it to be upwards of $35, even $40 at least at this point. I thought maybe 35 after a year, and then at least 40 after 2 years, maybe even 45 was the hope on this one. But again, it has underperformed significantly due to the supply. Next up, we have Snow Trooper Battle Pack. This is the most recent retiree. This retired in December 2023, so just a couple of months ago. It is set number 75320. This was a $20 set. So this is where we start to see those prices get inflated on the battle packs. It's unfortunate. Lego Group has started raising prices across the board. We talk about the mech sets. The mech sets used to be $10. Now they're all $15. Like, there's a lot of change happening in pricing for Lego sets. And, this is just the way it is. This is inflation. But some of it is quite extreme, because if you look at the price per piece right here, you're going to see that the price per piece on this set is 19 cents. If we go to the previous one, it's 14, almost 15 cents. Now, I know that you're kind of wondering, is that a big jump? 14 cents to 19 cents? It's quite significant, right? It's quite a significant jump. If we look at the Sith Trooper, it was a little bit lower again. It was closer to 14 cents. But jumping up to 19 cents price per piece, that's quite substantial of a jump in the price per piece here, and the price jumped to $20. So the value that you're getting inside of the box now for the price, for the MSRP, has been lowered, right? It has been diminished. But I would argue that, Lego Group are kind of continuing the quality. The quality is still there. This is a great set. We're seeing kind of real nice designs here on some of the, I guess, supplementary pieces that are not the minifigures, but people buy these for the minifigures, right? Let's be real. You don't buy it for these parts. So $20. However, what's it doing in the aftermarket? Now, it is very early stages, because, again, this just retired a couple of months ago. But if we go back and look at this, you can see that it was discounted on Amazon right before retirement. We can see it was available for around $19, and then suddenly it dropped to $16 in and around Q4 of 2023. Then it dropped further to $15. It had a very, very small stint here at $11.36. Now, if you bought it right there for $11, then you're kind of laughing here, because over the course of the next year, I expect that this current price is going to continue to go up. However, right now, it's selling for $23. Now, that is not great, right? That is just $3 above the MSRP. And hopefully you didn't buy it at MSRP, but if you did, at this point, you're not making money, because you got to pay your Amazon fees. So you're going to have to wait a little bit longer, which is okay, because we expect that it will continue to go up in price, of course. But we can see the buy box recently has been up at $27. So if we zoom in here on the last 3 months, the pink line is when we see buy box available. Right now there is no buy box, so it's kind of defaulting to the low price. The low price is 23. But whenever this pink line pops back up, it means that yellow buy button is going to be available again on the listing. And typically we see a little bit of an increased price when that happens. So you could sell it on Amazon for $27, $28 at the buy box. And at that point, if you bought it for that $11 price or even a $16 price, you're profitable, right? And then if you just wait a little longer for price to go up, you could be doing okay at that point. But the Snow Trooper Battle Pack is so far a little bit flat when we look at the overall price. I expect demand will continue to go up in Q4, of course, this year, and supply will continue to dwindle. I don't know that Snow Trooper will be as heavily supplied as the Mandalorian Battle Pack before it, because Mandalorian Battle Pack was one that LEGO investors flocked to, everyone was excited about, and I don't think Snow Trooper got quite as much, in terms of attention in the LEGO investing communities. So hopefully that will mean less supply and the price will see some better action here. But so far it has been quiet for the Snow Trooper Battle Pack. And I just realized we missed one, so I gotta jump back real quick to 2022 retiree. This was the 501st Legion Clone Troopers, of course. One of my favorites in the last couple of years, so I can't not speak about this one real quick. So again, this was the previous year of retirement. It retired at the end of 2022. This was a more expensive set. This was a $30 set because, of course, as you can see in the picture, this is kind of a little bit of a departure from the traditional battle pack. It is still a battle pack because we do get 4 clone troopers here and 2 droids. But this has a bigger kind of like a build going on here that you can obviously see here. So we have, a lot more parts in the box, of course, and the price per piece on this was pretty good, 10.5 on the price per piece, but a $30 purchase price. And what has gone on with this one in the retirement, we can see at the current price on Amazon.com, it's currently selling for $60. Now, again, this is only a year and a half after retirement. You could have bought it for 20% off at least. You could have bought it for $24, and now it's selling for $60. So this is a pretty good investment if we look at it. Before it retired, we can see back here the price was somewhere in the region of $23 and then about $29 on Amazon. And over the course of the first 6 months of retirement, we can see the buy box quickly rising here up to $60. So that is an immediate rise in the price. The supply was not quite so strong on this set, and the demand was incredibly strong. Now, it did go flat from there, and the rest of 2023, it didn't go up a whole lot more. It did peak at 65 in Q3 or in Q4, and since then it has been fluctuating around the same level, recently at 60, but it has peaked at around 68 right there just a couple of weeks ago. So we can see, you're going to be able to sell these somewhere between 60, 65, maybe $68 right now. That's a phenomenal investment. If you bought them for $24, you're doing quite well. I bought a lot of these. I've also sold them all out at this point, but I did very, very well on it. So that is the Clone Troopers, the 501st Legion Clone Troopers, which of course we have another version of on the shelves today. So what are my overall thoughts on the Battle Pack theme as an investment from what we see here? You're definitely making money on all of these sets, right? There's none that are kind of terrible investments, but the hold times can be a little bit longer than you might like in some cases, again, because a lot of supply is out there. A lot of Lego Star Wars investors are buying these battle packs. It can lead to a lot of supply, and sometimes the demand and the supply are kind of at equilibrium. There's not more demand than supply, so that's why we see that price kind of staying flat for some large periods of time. But then we have little bumps and things that kind of quickly raise the price. You can do quite well on them for sure, and they're definitely not a bad place to put your money, but they're by no means what I believe to be the absolute best Lego investments that you can do. And another important consideration with the battle packs is that there are a lot of them, and so that can lead to other similar sets that could take demand away. So for example, if you're looking at the 501st Legion Clone Trooper battle pack, you've got other old sets and current sets that will also give you some clone troopers, and that can definitely take away some of that demand from a battle pack. So when you're investing in battle packs, you should consider the availability of substitutes, the availability of other similar sets. Do they complement each other, or do they take away some of the demand from each other? These are important things that we got to consider. But overall on these sets, we are seeing positive returns on investment. We are seeing a lot of demand. We are seeing prices going up over time, and so in general they can be quite a good investment if you pick the right ones. So those are my general thoughts on the battle packs as an investment. I hope this was useful for you to step back in time with me and look at some of the performance over time. And if you found it useful, please make sure to hit the like button. Of course, while you're down there, I've made a free guide you can download that talks about my 5-step process for building an actual business with Lego investing. We're not talking about hobbies here. We're talking about building a real viable side income with Lego investing. So if you want to get in on that, make sure to get that guide in the description down below. And thank you so much for being here. Once again, I'm Shane from brickbucks.net, and make this your year to lift off and be free.